Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to another gifted upload. It's been a while, but again, we're back on the channel. Just got off from Thanksgiving. That was a really fulfilling time for me. I got a chance to refresh myself, eat well, obviously, and really tap in on some of my goals. So again, I appreciate all the support on the channel. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We about to get into the finer things as we progress through this NBA season. Live streams are coming back on Sunday, and there will be more game breakdowns. But without further ado, let's get into the topic of today's video. So today we are going to be talking about Kevin Durant, Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, and of course the Brooklyn Nets as an organization. What you're currently seeing in the backdrop is a hype video for what this team actually was supposed to be. In terms of how Ben Simmons would be coming to the roster, the playmaking that he would provide in the full court set, all that type of stuff. But I think to really put things into perspective, we have to gauge this team based on how last season ended and what their expectations were coming into this year. So what we remember is a a COVID season impacted Kyrie playing a whole bunch of the games. It led to the Harden trade. That team did not have much continuity at all. They came into the playoffs and they got blown out 4-0 by the Boston Celtics in the playoffs without winning a game. Granted, every game was close for the most part, but their flaws showed in every single game. And to conclude that season, in the offseason, Kevin Durant requested a trade away from this team. The Brooklyn Nets said they weren't going to trade Kevin Durant. They could not find a trade package that was suitable for them. And what made things very complicating was the Ben Simmons contract. If you remember, because Ben Simmons had a specific designated extension, other star players that are on contracts like that who could be viewed as cornerstone pieces like a Shea, Brandon Ingram, whoever, those players could not be on the same team as Ben Simmons because you can only have one. So because of that, they could not get a trade package that they actually wanted, so they kept Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant wanted Steve Nash fired. He said that earlier in the offseason, on top of Sean Marks, the Brooklyn Nets also said no to this as well. So then they get into the season. They start out very, very rough. Ben does not look great playing basketball. And they fire Steve Nash 7 games into the season. And then Kyrie is missing a lot of time due to the off the court stuff, which we're not going to really focus on here in this video, but that was a thing. And because of that, you then had Kevin Durant playing in lineups with Claxton, Joe Harris, Sumner, which led to KD saying something about that. Like, what do you expect from a lineup that has me and these players? I think his bigger point was the turmoil that was going on in the front office in terms of this team having a clear, roster that didn't have as many flaws. But the point is, the Nets are a confusing team. And as of late, I will give credit to Ben Simmons. Ben has been playing really good basketball. Actually, last night, he had 20 points versus the Pacers. He was really starting to pick it up a lot more. However, this team is still losing games. They got blown out 152 to, I think, 125 or something like that versus the Kings. They also lost to the Lakers, and they just lost last night to the Pacers. But what's confusing about their team is they've also have had good wins against Portland, other, decent teams as well. And Kyrie Irving is just now coming back. So to be fair, you could say with this improved Ben Simmons and Kyrie coming back, we need to give this team time to find their identity to see how they figure things out. What makes it such a tough situation for Brooklyn, and if you are a Nets fan, let me know in the comments how you're feeling. When you have Nicholas Claxton and Ben Simmons playing in lineups together, so far by the numbers, that is a very negative pairing, both offensively and defensively. And the reasoning for that is you have guys that, while yes, in theory, have length and can provide a bit more rim protection together, the non spacing just really, really hurts their offense. And even defensively, the guys are not world beaters collectively because Ben Simmons isn't a real rim protector. He's more of a perimeter switching big. But recently, he has been blocking some shots at the rim. I just don't think that's a sustainable thing for success. The team clearly functions better when Ben is on the floor as the only non-spacer surrounded by spacing, and the same thing can be said for Claxton, who, by the way, Claxton deserves his flowers because, in my estimation, he's having a real breakout season. I've been very impressed with what we've seen Claxton be able to do. Also, they're both in my fantasy, so I'm personally loving everything. But the point is, I'm saying all these things to say this is how we need to look at their team to evaluate if they are a true championship contender. In my mind, firing the coach 7 games in compared to firing him at the end of the offseason and then building the team in that way early would have given them better continuity and better sense coming into the season. Steve Nash clearly did have his flaws, but doing it mid-season just made things weird. And it feels like almost every other day there's some type of narrative or thing that has nothing to do with basketball that weighs like a dark thundercloud over this team. But they're in a position where guys are back and they're just praying that they can just focus on basketball and at least get those reps up. Because to be fair, Ben was coming off of a major injury, trying to work himself back. I just feel like he still is a flawed basketball player. And I think against the elite of the elite, that will show itself. I think this roster is very capped. But my questions about this roster is less about this year because in my mind, this is not a championship roster. I think they have too many compromises they have to make. We have all this spacing, but the spacing is coming from guys like Kyrie, Kevin Durant, Seth Curry, Patty Mills, Joe Harris, Royce O'Neal in spurts. But the issue with that is you're now smaller because of that, and you have a lot more defensive targets on the court to give you that offensive spacing. Or you have guys that you're playing that might give you some value defensively, but are not strong offensive players. And that puts like a ceiling on how complete that roster can be. So in my mind, that's not a championship roster. I think that they're gonna try to play through these things and really, gain that chemistry as they progress through the season. But in my mind, I just don't see it for this year. What my question is for the future what happens. Because remember, with all the stuff that's been going down with Kyrie Irving and the owner Joe Tsai, the question is Kyrie coming back next year? Will they extend Kyrie Irving? In my opinion, it seems that their relationship is fractured, and I do not believe that Kyrie Irving will be re-signing with this team. We still have to see how things pan out. I could be wrong. If Kyrie is on the court, I still think he's a very productive basketball player. But I think the off the court stuff has impacted his status and reputation to the entire league. So his trade value is insanely low. So they can't really trade him this season. Ben Simmons specifically is going to be eating up a lot of the cap space for the upcoming seasons. I think this year he's making like 35. Then it jumps to 38 and then 40 plus within his third year. So there's a lot from a cap perspective that they're also limited to. If they let Kyrie Irving walk, you're losing a lot of value from the point guard position in terms of a shot creator who can play, make space, and do elite things alongside Kevin Durant. And then that begs the question, is Kevin Durant really that tied to Kyrie like that? Because if you let Kyrie Irving walk and you're not able to really replace the void of Kyrie, what is that saying to Kevin Durant? I think if that happens, KD is going to be looking at, okay, what else is the roster around me? Because while Kyrie Irving might miss some games, his value in terms of being able to fit alongside Kevin Durant and be another primary scorer does add value to the team. So would he then request for a trade? And then obviously, as it stands right now, Ben Simmons is currently playing himself back up, which is good. He's raising his trade value the more and more that you go. In my mind, You're not going to be able to trade Ben Simmons for a solid return this year. It's going to be based on his performance this year and then what happens in the offseason. This is a team that we have a lot of question marks about. However, I do think that this team kind of has a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing about them. And if you stick with me, I can explain the logic behind that. I think that this team has had moments where they look really good. They get stops. They space the floor well. They switch. Utah has been a phenomenal player for this team. In terms of knocking down that corner three, playing defense, providing some type of athleticism. That's been great to see. But then they have other moments where they don't communicate on a Buddy Hield off ball switch and he walks into a wide open three. Or they're getting killed on the offensive rebounds and providing the other team a bunch of second chance points. Or they have multiple guys who are being targeted defensively and it just doesn't really work out. Like, I don't know which side is going to be more prevalent as the season goes on, but because of those flaws, I just don't see it this year. And if we're saying that we don't see it this year, what is the true future within the next 2 to 3 years for the Brooklyn Nets? Do they blow it all up? Is it possible that Ben Simmons does turn up and become that player that they need in order to try to win a championship? I don't think Ben Simmons is a championship caliber player in my estimation, but he's playing better. So I will put respect on that. But in the comments, let me know exactly how you feel about the Brooklyn Nets and what you think they can potentially accomplish either this season or the next season. And again, appreciate all the love. We are about to start grinding very hard on this channel. I've been sick and I've been working very exhausting 10-hour shifts. So appreciate the support. I'm going to end the video here. Also, we will have some edited videos returning, but I wanted to get this out as quick as possible, so I was on that. But have a good one, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next upload. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out, people.